So again, I'm back. How to write the discussion results section. And you can only write down the discussion results section provided that you have already the data based from the scientific process of gathering. Yun kasi ang essence ng research. At yun yung lagi kong tinuturo sa aking mga estudyante. So balikan natin na ang parts ng research, meron yang IMRAD na tinatawag. IMRAD na ba yung ginagamit ninyo in your research? Or you still go with the traditional format with starting with chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But anyway, depending on whether it's the Germanic or the IMRAD, still nandoon pa rin ang results and discussion. Okay, so the sources of your research results, Dr. Maggie already told a while back yung mga ibang instruments to use in data gathering. But what I am showing to you is just the information that through gathering in an experiment, in an interview, in a focus group discussion, in a survey, in a library research, in an observation, and a mixed methods, you always generate key findings. You always generate results. And these results are the lifeblood of your research. Without research to report, you have nothing to discuss. No? So the thing is, bakit ka pa magre-research kung wala ka man lang research, results, and discussion? And that is the essence of doing a research. No? I hope I can make the conduct of research will give you ease and fresh perspective so that there is motivation in the conduct of research. So let's go back to the methodological approaches. Though you learned about this one, you talk about by the quantitative methods, you talk about the qualitative and the mixed methods, still these methods have research questions. And based from the research questions, you follow the discussion of your results. Kaya kung may nagpapacheck sa akin na estudyante na katulad ninyo, as I check the research of the student, I usually go to the objectives of the study. And as I go through the objectives, I proceed to the results and discussion. Take note that the arrangement of your research objectives should be the arrangement of your research results and your discussion. Mag-asawa yan. So dapat, para nang sa ganun congruent, reliable, at maayos basahin ang mga research na kinakandak natin, nang sa ganun, mas mapataas ang quality niya, we need to look at the standard that whatever the objectives written, that should be the arrangement of your research results and discussion. Moving on. So I am showing to you already the IMRAD format, introduction, method, results, and discussion. And as you can see, in the introduction, it says why you did it. In the methods, how you did it. And in the results and discussion, we talk about what did you find? What did you find out? And what does it mean? Take note that na si results at saka si discussion, mag-asawa yan. Si results is the finding of the study, while the discussion is the interpretation of your findings. Shall we proceed? Okay? Okay? So what are the functions of discussion and results section? Dapat malaman natin, What are the functions? Why we have discussion, why we have results section in the research? I got it from the research published in Elsevier, a very good journal, Perceptions of the Difficulties of Postgraduate L2 Thesis Writing Students in the Discussion section. And the findings shows, that the function of discussion results section, number one, is to summarize and discuss the result. So your results and discussion section, or your DRS, is the summary and the way where you will discuss the result. Number two, to make the link between the results and the literature. Diba? meron kayong literature review sa part ng research ninyo. That could be in chapter 2 and even in your chapter 1, which is the background of your study. See to it that when you are writing now your research results and discussion, you should be able to link the results of your study to the previous literature. Third, to tell what does it mean for that research. What is the implication of that results? If I am a teacher and you have the research, what does it mean for me? If you are a student or in your STEM track, what does it mean for me? So you should provide an implication of your results. Afterwards, I will give you example. And of course, in the research results section, which is the DRS part, this is where you cross-check the results. A way for you to understand that your finding has been found similarly by previous researchers, or your finding today is different from the findings of the previous researchers. And in that way, you are telling to the world that your research has something to do to the body of knowledge, to fill the gap of literature, or to fill the theoretical or practical gap. Take note that we do research because we want something new, we want improvement, we want development, and we do research based from the findings, we make decisions. Take note, we make decisions based from the results of our research. I would like you to appreciate, my dear students, that when you report a research results, and that will be read by experts, by policymakers, by students like you, or by the farmers, especially if you are doing an agricultural research. You are telling your results that this product is developing the farm, and when the farmer will use it, see to it that the results of your research is truthful enough. Because there are issues that when you talk of ethics in research, sometimes you should know that there are unethical practices like fabricating results, cooking a data. So these are things that should be avoided when we are doing the discussion, the results and discussion of the research part. Okay, proceed. What are the difficulties in writing the discussion of results section? And this is based on the research by Matthew Peacock on the communicative moves. So these are identified as the difficulties. Number one, students lack the linking between section ideas, which we should address. You should appreciate that ang ganda-gandang mag-report ng research findings, ang ganda-gandang magsabi ng natagpuan mo or na-discover mo sa mga tao. And this is your opportunity to shine, to tell the world that you have something to offer. Number two, sometimes lack of knowledge about doing the discussion of results section as a genre. That when we are writing the discussion of results section, as if we are writing an essay, but we are writing a scientific communication. Ang results section ay hindi marites section na nagmamarites lang tayo doon ng ano-ano-ano. Ang results and discussion section is the most scientific part of the research, wherein you are telling that each of your finding has bearing and is being backed up with literature. And that should be the trend. Or a third, sometimes we have problems on the language proficiency, on the grammar and vocabulary when we write, but this will not downsize you because you have already the Grammarly, you have already the Quillbot, and so on, and so many tools for you to write it down. Even you have also the Google Translate now. But take note that when we are writing the discussion results section, it should be written in a way that is scientific and it is being understood by the one who reads it. And fourth is the overall organization of that section. Okay, shall we proceed? Now, what is results and what is all about discussion. Itong dalawang ito mag-asawa yan. And we cannot dichotomize, no? We cannot separate it, no? Results is where you indicate what you found in your research and you give the results of your research and you do not interpret them. So presenting the results is just stating what is all about in the table, in the figure, and you do not interpret them, is stating that this is the result. But it is your opportunity now to tell the meaning in the discussion section. This is where you discuss the relevance of your results and how your findings fit with other research in the area. It will relate back to your literature review and your introductory thesis statement. So, itong dalawang ito magkasama yan. Okay? Now, what is included in the results? The results section should include the findings of your study and only your research findings. The findings include, as what I have mentioned, data presented in the tables or tabular presentation of data, charts, graphs or graphical presentation, and other figures which may be placed among the research text or in a separate page. Second, results section include a contextual analysis of the data, explaining its meaning in the sentence form. So you need also to give in a paragraph form what is in the table, what is in the figure. Okay? And a report on the data collection, recruitment, and participants. You can also discuss, you can also put in your results how you did the data collection, how you recruited the participants. Because actually, it's a way for you to tell the results of your study. No? How will you tell the process of cooking rice without telling me the outcome or the output, right? And number 4, data that corresponds to the central questions, because take note, whatever being presented in the results section should match in the objectives of your research paper. And 5th, the secondary findings is found wherein there are secondary outcomes, subgroup analysis, and etc. So this is just all about the results. For example, this is a table in one study conducted in the University of the Philippines, like this one, table 2, metal concentration of water sediments and in liver gills and muscles of a certain fish from Butuanon River. As you can see, you are just presenting the table, and there will be a paragraph stating what is in the table. Okay, afterwards, magbibigay ako ng example. So this is just a matter of presenting a result. Okay? Now, there are what we call communicative moves in discussion section. Ano yung mga galawan natin? Ano yung mga galawan natin kung nagpresent tayo ng discussion? Katulad din yan kung nanliligaw kayo, may kanya-kanya kayong galawan. May kanya-kanya kayong estratehiya. May kanya-kanyong taktika kung paano i-atake. Sabi nga nila, there are many ways to kill a chicken. No, there are many ways to kill a chicken. And in writing your research results and discussion, there are many ways, moves, and strategies. Ano nga ba yung mga moves and strategies natin? Discussion section have a 3-part framework involving the series of move cycles combining 2 or more of these 9 moves. So take note, meron tayong 9 na moves dito. The discussion section should have first informative move. What's that informative move? It talks about a statement about the background of the theory, research aim, or methodology. Number 2, there should be the move on the statement of results, either a numerical value or reference to a graph or table. Third, finding on the move, same as the statement of result, but without reference to a graph or table. 4, the expected and expected outcome, a comment on whether the result is expected or not, coming from you as the researcher. Number 5, there should be a reference to previous research, which I love to do, and I love to read research papers of my students that they give back up, no? Kahit sa profile variables lang, binaback-upan nila ng literature, no? So I love reading these kinds of results. And number 6, the explanation. You should provide an explanation, the reason for unexpected results. Number 7, the claim, a generalization arising from the results contributing to the research. And in the discussion section, there is a move on the limitation. And lastly, on the recommendation, suggestion for future research. Nagbibigay ako mamaya ng example dyan. Ngayon, itong three-part framework and move cycle series ay meron tayong 3. Okay, for you to write down the structure of your discussion section. There should be an introduction part, evaluation, and conclusion. What will you combine for the introduction? You combine moves 1, informative move, plus move 5, reference to previous research, or use statement of the result, which is the move 2, or 3, the finding. So pag halu-haluin nyo lang yan, no? Kahit pala sa discussion section, may mathematics tayo. Okay? So iyan nyo lang yung mga moves na yan. You come up with your own formula of this so that you could put up the best ever results and discussion section for your research paper. On the second one is the evaluation. The key move cycles here are 2 or 5, 2 or 3, statement of result or the finding plus the reference. Pwede yon. Or 7 plus 5, claim plus reference. Or baliktarin mo, 7 plus 5 or 5 plus 7. And of course, in the conclusion part, you also combine 3 plus 7, finding plus the claim, or just simply add 9, which is the recommendation. Take note, my dear students, sa pagsulat ng results and discussion, ilagay nyo itong formula natin on introduction, evaluation, conclusion, presto, you will have the best research results and discussion. Moving on. Okay, what is included in the discussion? Okay, the discussion section is where you delve into the meaning and importance and relevance of your results. It should focus on explaining and evaluating what you found, showing how it relates to the literature review and research question, and making an argument in support of your overall conclusion. We have here that in your discussion, you should put interpretation. What do the result mean? Based from the fact-finding and the meaning-making process from the trends of data, based on the objectives of the study, you interpret it. Second, implication. Why do the results matter? In short, what are the inferences, the insights, the implications of the findings to practice sa mga ginagawa, sa polisiya, theories, and even in the gaps that you need to fill out in your research. Third, limitation. What can the results tell us? In this part, you talk with the scope of the inquiry, the research area, even the weakness or the scope of the paper. And lastly, the recommendation, what practical actions or scientific studies should follow, which is based on the theoretical, practical recommendations or future research directions. Okay? Mga senior high school students, okay pa ba tayo? Okay pa ba tayo?
Opo.
Thank you. Clear ba tayo? Sige, mag-proceed na tayo sa example. I have here an example of a results and discussion. Number 1. You know, I developed my own formula for this, no? But I based it in the moves I presented sa 9 moves. So kanya-kanyang formula kayo, kanya-kanyang kwan, kasi if you are a researcher, you are also a writer. And if you are a writer, it's your strategy, it's your style. How will you inform the people? How will you inform your teacher, your panel about the findings? Okay? So, sample result. In table 8, as you can see, it's just the sample result, no? The results indicate that cognitive engagement mediated the association between self-awareness and study habits. Take note, there are figures. In the results section, you need to write the figures in the paragraph form. And below that paragraph, you need to put the table, the data, the figure. Okay, therefore, hypothesis H41 is accepted. Cognitive engagement mediated the relationship between self-motivation and study habits. Okay. Lastly, cognitive. And of course, the results indicate that all hypotheses listed in Table 8 are approved. It's just a plain result. Kung babasahin mo, hindi mo muna maintindihan kung ano ang kinalaman, ano kayang implikasyon nito, ano kayang magagawa nito sa buhay ko, yayaman ba ako sa resulta na yan? You will only realize that if you have the discussion. Take note, this is the discussion already. This study explored the connection between emotional intelligence and study habits through engagement among students in blended learning environment during COVID-19. Take note, similar studies have been conducted on the same issue in advancing countries. Author year, author year, author year, author year. And only limited studies have been performed in emerging countries such as China. Author year. Furthermore, the studies have been conducted in emerging countries. Okay. As such, the authors claim, you have your claim, that the present study is to first examine the influence of emotional intelligence and study habits of students in blended learning environment in Chinese universities. Take note, the study measured the association between the emotional intelligence and study habits. The results indicated the self-awareness and self-management positively and significantly influence study habits, which approves the hypothesis. Prior studies also confirmed that self-awareness and self-motivation have positive connection with study habits. Magulod 2018. Ako po yan. No, because I am sharing to you an article where I was cited as an author. And I found out these articles are very good. And I get this so that I can provide this as an example for today. So that's the number one example. Okay, balikan natin. Ang result is just plainly telling what is in the table, telling that this is table 8, hanggang doon lang. Pero ang discussion is going beyond that. Now, let me try to look at this one. This is what we call the IPRC structure. I developed it by myself. No? The sample result and discussion using the IPRC structure. Sir, what is IPRC structure? I stands for the introductory statement. This study explored the connection between the emotional intelligence and study habits through cognitive engagement among students in blended learning environment during COVID-19. That's just the information. Ito na rin yung statement of the problem. Okay, P stands for presentation of the gap being addressed. Similar studies have been conducted in the same issue in advanced countries, author year, author year, author year, and only limited studies have been performed in emerging countries such as China, author year. Why presentation of the gap? The studies have been conducted in emerging countries reveals that only in pre-COVID-19 situation. As such, the authors claim that the present study is the first to examine the influence of emotional intelligence on the study habits of students in studying blended learning, specifically as it focuses on cognitive engagement as a mediator variable. That is the presentation of the gap. Okay, what comes next? Of course, the result of the present study. What is the result of your study? The results indicate that self-awareness and self-management positively and significantly influence study habits, which approves the hypothesis. Sabi natin kanina sa moves on discussion, there is the comparison of the literature, and that's the second portion, which is your comparison of the findings with the previous literature. Prior studies also confirm that self-awareness and self-motivation have a positive connection with the study habits. Magulod 2018, Parker et al. 2006. The relationship between the two has been discussed in previous studies, and this result confirmed the emotional intelligence promotes positive relationship. You can see the move, the comparison, the previous finding with the previous the present finding with the previous literature. And of course, you have what we call the practical implication of the research. Anong kinalaman? Ano ang explanation mo na researcher? A plausible reason for these results could be that universities did not fully prepare their students to develop emotional intelligence in the area of regulation of emotion and social skills. There could be other reasons for these results, such as students' weak social skills and poor regulation emotion owing to face-to-face interaction in blended learning environment during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay? So my dear students, this is the IPRC structure. Gusto nyo pa ng example? Meron pa. Okay. Example number 2. How will you present your results and discussion? Example for this. Sample result. Relationship between teachers' pedagogical orientation, integrating technology in online classroom, its effect in students' motivation and engagement. What's in the result? Table 4. Table 4 shows that there is a significant relationship between the teacher's pedagogical orientation, integrating technology in the online classroom to students' motivation and engagement. And nandoon na yung mga figure coming from the table, the data, the trend in the data coming from the table. This is just only a result, a sample result. Okay? So, basahin natin. This suggests that teachers believe in utilizing self-centered teaching to integrate technology in the language classroom. The higher students are motivated, engaged in learning. In like manner, it was also revealed that teacher-centered belief with a Pearson value of -531 and p-value of 0.32 is negatively correlated to students' motivation and engagement, which signifies that teacher-directed learning, such as the use of one-way directed learning, is found that appealing to the motivating characteristics of the language. Just a plain result. But in the sample discussion, what does it mean? This is how it will be written. Okay? So take note. We have the IRICL structure in discussion. Introductory statement. The study explored the relationship between teachers' pedagogical orientation, integrating technology. That's the introductory statement. Ang sunod na minug niya is the result of the present study. Result of the present study found out that teachers' pedagogical orientation is significantly correlated on students' motivation and engagement. This means that the higher the teacher adhered to teacher-centered belief, the lower the students felt motivated and engaged. The reason behind this is when students are empowered to explore and learn language lessons with the use of student-centered teaching strategies, the higher students manifest motivation and engagement. Second, interpretation. For emphasis, teachers' beliefs on technology is influenced by students' learning motivation. It can be explained. It can be interpreted that when teachers have positive attitude towards the use of technology in the classroom, the better they manifest a student-centered teaching approach, which eventually influences student learning behavior. This study suggests the need for language teachers to adhere to student-centered teaching approaches and strategies to allow students to appreciate language learning tasks and lessen students' language learning anxiety. And of course, meron siyang comparison with the previous results. The results of the study confirms previous investigation. The teacher's pedagogical belief in technology influences motivation from the study of Chamorro in 2013, Cheng in 2020, Cullen and Green in 2011, Pryor and Vubi in 2016, and Otton-Litwich et al. In 2020. These findings confirm the importance of immersive technologies for learning is noteworthy because it promotes student engagement. And lastly, meron siyang limitation and recommendation. Further studies need to confirm this result so as they arrive at the conclusive findings. Hence, this correlation regarding belief relating to technology among language teachers on online learning has been investigated only on their self-perception and ideas, which is the limitation of the present study. So, my dear students, kung ganito ang pagkasulat ng discussion ninyo, because I reviewed papers for publication, I appreciate how the authors are trying to tell what is all about the results they get from their study. Okay? Next. Pag kayong konti na lang ito. Sample number 3, test of difference in the student's level of online learning, language learning. As you can see, table 4 presents the test of differences. So, test of differences, nandyan lang, is just telling to you the result. Nandun yung table. Okay, but in the discussion, what does it mean? Okay, so the portion of the study presents the test of difference. Let's proceed to this IRC IP structure. The portion of this study presents the test of difference in the student's level of online language learning and motivation when grouped according to sex. Kasi yung research niya, tinignan niya rin kung ano yung pinagkakaiba ng motivation ng mga babae at sa mga lalaki na estudyante during online learning in language, in English. And that's the introductory statement. What is the finding? It shows that based on the finding, it shows that gender of the students is not a factor of difference in online language learning. It can be inferred that both groups of students manifested a favorable attitude towards online language learning. So kahit pala babae ka o lalaki ka, walang pinagkaiba ng yung motivation and attitude towards online language learning. That's the result of the present study. Now is the comparison to the previous literature. This study confirms Abu Raja that no significant difference in language learning attitude of male and female students in Canadian context. Take note, ang pinagkuhanan niya ng mga literature to back up the findings ay pwede galing sa foreign at galing sa local literature. That's why you have your review of related literature. Kaya nga naglalagay kayo ng review of related literature ninyo kasi doon rin kayo huhugot ng iyong mga ilalagay na pang-back up ng findings ninyo. Did you get me? So wag kayong maglagay ng mga literature na hindi nyo man lang gagamitin later sa discussion ninyo. Dapat ginagamit nyo yung discussion based from the literature you have in your chapter 2. Eh, kahit thematic yung arrangement ng review of related literature ninyo, at least nandoon yung mga authors na nagsasabi na ganito ang findings nila, ganito ang findings ni Yashima, ganito ang findings ni Torres, no? And in that way, your results and discussion section will become very scientific, will become very important part of the research. So in short, in your results and discussion, hindi kayo nagmamarites. Ibig sabihin, nagfa-fact check kayo. Did you get it? Huwag kayong magmarites sa results and discussion. Kasi kino-compare nyo yan sa mga findings before at findings noon at sa finding nyo ngayon. Okay? And of course, the interpretation of the results, the study presents that gender is not a factor in language learning motivation since both male and female respondents are capable of appreciating the role of online learning during COVID-19. Interpretation of results. And lastly, the practical implication, the results of the study manifested that intrinsic and extrinsic motivation to learn language through online mode is closely related to the appreciation of male and female students. So ang kanyang nakita, findings ay, babae ka man o lalaki ka, parehas ang kanilang motivation at language learning engagement in online learning. Okay? Bakit kaya? Ang rason is, the study was conducted during the COVID-19. Whether a male or a female do not like or does not like to learn, kung online naman siya, wala silang magagawa kasi may virus nga. So that the finding is very much logical. Okay? So that's it. Okay? So another. Okay? So giving the key findings. When you write down your discussion, you just put the key findings, begin in reiterating your research problem and summarizing your major findings. Don't just repeat all the data reported. Aim for a clear statement of the overall result directly answers your main research. And this should be more than one paragraph. No more than one paragraph. So one paragraph. Example, the results indicate that the study demonstrates a correlation between this analysis supports the theory that the data suggests that. So that's the first part in writing your discussion. Mag-base kayo sa moves natin, sa mga galawan natin. How will you present the interpretation? Your interpretation will depend on the type of research, whether quanti, quali, or mixed, but these are the typical approaches. Just identify the correlation patterns and relationship among the data. Number 2, discuss what the results meant. 3, contextualize your findings with the previous research and theory. 4, explain unexpected result. And 5, consider possible alternative. Example, in line with the hypothesis, contrary to the hypothesis section, the results contradict the claim of Smith 2007. The present study contradicts the finding of Dapol in 2021 that the results might suggest that X, however, based on the finding of similar studies, a more plausible explanation is Y. So presenting the interpretation of your research. And of course, your discussion implication, you need to discuss how your findings fit with existing knowledge. First, do your results agree with the previous research? If so, why do they? If so, what do they add to it? Are your findings very different from the other studies? Do the results support or challenge existing theories? Are there any practical implications? Example, these results build on existing evidence of. The results do not fit with the theory that. The experiments provide a new insights into the relationship between. The results should be taken into account when considering how to. The data contributes a clear understanding of. While previous research has focused on X, these results demonstrate that Y. Okay? And of course, in your discussion, acknowledge the limitation. No? Kasi ang research naman, hindi naman perfecto yan. Kaya nga, sa statistics niyo, meron kayong 5% margin of error, 95% margin of error, and so on and so forth. But the way how you acknowledge the limitations is due to the overall research design, specific methodological choices, or anticipated obstacles that emerge during the research process. And you should only mention the limitations that are directly relevant to your research objectives. So example, the generalizability of the results is limited by. The reliability of this data is impacted by. Due to the lack of data on X, the results cannot confirm. The methodological choices were constrained by. It is beyond the scope of the study too. So at least in the discussion, you are presenting already the limitation of the research. And of course, the presentation of your recommendation that based from the findings, you interpret, you provided the limitations, dapat may recommendation ka rin doon. No? It's just a statement. Sabihin mo lang doon, further research is needed to establish. Future studies should take into account to confirm the findings of the study. Because in the very basic definition, research is cyclical. Research is replicable. That's why it has replicability characteristic. Okay? Don't just state that more studies should be done. No? Give concrete idea of how your work can build on areas that or research was unable to address. And of course, things to avoid in writing your discussion, don't introduce new results. You should only discuss the data you have already reported in the results chapter. Don't make inflated claims. Avoid over-interpretation and speculation that is not supported by your data. So ito yung sinasabi, bawal ang marites, bawal ang hyperbole. Dapat, kung ano yung nakita ni Jojo, yun din ang nakita ni Emmanuel, yun ang nakita ni Algin, yun ang nakita ni Ezra. So that should be reported. Okay, kaya sabi sa science ninyo, research is science, to see is to believe. Hindi ako naniniwala pag hindi ko nakikita. Okay? And of course, don't undermine your research wherein discuss the limitations should aim to strengthen your credibility, not emphasize the weakness or failure. So avoid this. And in that way, I would like to leave a certain journal article published by yours truly, Dr. Leonilo Capulso, and the previous speaker, Dr. Sindel Tabiolo, which can be a good reference for you to read so that you could come up with a good research, is published in the International Journal of Learning, Teaching, Educational Research. The title is Use of Technology-Based Tools in Ensuring Quality of Publishable Journal Articles. You read it, you get it, it's free from the internet, you learn from our research. And with that, I say thank you. And if should you have questions, please raise your questions so that I can answer it. Please feel free to raise your questions.
O ayan, thank you very much, Dr. Gilbert C. Magulod. Marami po kaming natutunan sa inyong talk. So, yun nga, ayon nga kay Sir is yung result in discussion is not a Maranatha section. Okay? So, hindi yung kung ano-ano lang yung ating sinusulat dyan. It should be scientific and supported with evidences. Also, natutunan din natin kay Sir yung mga moves, okay? So, actually, ang familiar ako dun sa mga moves. Parang ngayon ko lang na ano yun, na mayroong formula pala para sa the best result and discussion na pwede nating magawa. And also, we have structures, okay, sir? And I think may mga tanong ba yung ating mga senior high school? So, pwede kayong mag-open ng mic or mag-message kay sir, or pwede rin naman sa amin i-direct namin yung message nyo kay sir. Okay? Any question?
Kung may katanungan kayo, sabihin lang. Okay? Tanungin lang sa akin para we can clarify. Okay? I will be leaving my PowerPoint presentation sa organizer, Sir Sunny, so that you can share this to the students, and I hope this can provide you understanding on how to write your results and discussion. I want you to become the best researchers in your field. I want you to become the next scientist, the next researcher, no? So do it. Explore more. And later on, no, together we will create a world that is progressive, a world that is developed, no? Because of our researches. Any other concerns we have?
Sir, ako na lang po, sir, ang una magtatanong, I think, sir.
Okay, Jojo. Akala ko closing remarks na yung sinabi ko eh. Sige.
Okay, sir, dun po, sir, sa mga structure, for example, IPRC, pwede po ba, sir, na ano, kami yung gumawa ng sarili naming structure, or fix na po, sir, yung structure na yun? For example po, sir, ang uunahin po namin, sir,
Okay.
for example, R, for example.
Okay, Jojo. The structure was derived from the moves we have. Di ba, meron kayong 9 moves. Dapat, ang pinaka-basic doon, laging may number 1. So, tapos kanya-kanya ng style kung paano mo gagawin. Basta ang importante, nandoon yung mga elements, nandoon yung mga formula mo. No? Iyan, pag-add-in mo lang yung mga yon. As long as in your discussion, may mga literature ka, may mga previous findings ka na nilalagay, and that will make the findings scientific and credible. So, yung mga present ko kanina sa inyo is a matter na arrangement yon ng mga models or moves ng mga previous authors. You can develop your own. You can come up with Jojo Dapol discussion moves in research. You can develop your own Marie Blanca Flor moves in writing discussion. I myself, I have my own Gilbert Magulod Jr. moves in writing the results and discussion. Kanya-kanya yan. Kaya nga, pwede kayo maging researchers, maging scientists ng field nyo.
Thank you po, sir. So, very informative po. I think any other questions, students? So it's your chance para tanungin si sir.
Kung nahihiya kayong magtanong, pwede nyo lang i-type.
Wala naman po.
Wala nang tanong. Okay, yung sa mga listening teachers natin, magandang pa-activity ito sa kanila. Sa mga senior high school natin, wherein you let them develop their own models and moves in writing their results and discussion. Okay, magbasa lang kayo. No? Research is so fun to do. Research is so good to do. No? It will give you more experiences. Okay? So, I have a request.
Yes po, sir.
May I request everyone to open their camera so we can have a picture taking? Ayan. So, very attentive pa lang ating mga students. Ayan. Okay? Sige, mag-picture tayo para may ebidensya ako na nag-lecture ako sa inyo. Para siguro one day, magkita tayo, si Sir yun yung nag-lecture sa amin. Okay? And I have also a reference na, si Joanna pala yun, si John Mike pala yun. Okay? Sir Sunny, thank you very much for the opportunity. Please extend my thanks to Dr. Lonilo Capulso, the principal of and administrator of Maranatha Christian Academy. Maraming salamat po. Okay,
Yes,
can we have a
also, we
picture?
are very thankful to all of you, Doc Gilbert and Doc Cinder, to all the speakers that we have in Maranatha Christian Academy. And I know our students have their knowledge na po, and they are prepared for the future research that they will be encountering. And thank you very much for sharing all the insights po na minsan first time ko lang din pong mga narinig. Thank you so much po.
Thank you very much. Hello, Doc Cinder. Thank you very much.
Hi, Doc Gilbert. Nice to see you po.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, senior high school students, please open all your cams po. Kapag hindi naka-on ng cam, automatic, alam nyo na ha. Absent. Go. Bilis, pakita ang inyong mga Sabi ko sa inyo, pinagmamalaki ang mga mukhang yan. Pinaghirapan ng nanay at tatay nyo yan. Sige. Sir Jojo, please please do the screenshot. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, smile po kayo. So, first slide po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, for second.